What are some awful things from the 70s, 80s, and 90s everyone seems to not talk about? Everywhere you went you came home with clothes reeking of smoke. My grandfather's mustache was yellow from smoking. Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge killing fields in Cambodia. 30% of people were tortured to death and killed with medieval weapons. Absolutely horrific. The troubles in Ireland are rarely talked about. Ireland was basically a war zone in some parts for quite a while. The thalidomide disaster is one of the darkest episodes in pharmaceutical research history. The drug was marketed as a **mild sleeping pill safe even for pregnant women. However, it caused thousands of babies worldwide to be born with malformed limbs. People used to smoke on planes. The Bosnian Civil War/conflict in the Balkans. Even the Rwandan genocide doesn't get mentioned very often today, though people still remember it happened. A lot of people don't remember that NATO was bombing Kosovo when Harrison Klebold shot up Columbine. In the UK there seemed to be dog **T everywhere, the type that turned white and could cause blindness if kids picked it up. Marital rape was not a crime in the UK or USA until the early 1990s. Famously in 1993 Justice Bolen, a judge in the Supreme Court of South Australia, told the jury of marital rape trial that there is, of course, nothing wrong with a husband, faced with his wife's initial refusal to engage in intercourse, in attempting, in an acceptable way, to persuade her to change her mind, and that may involve a measure of rougher than usual handling. Whenever we see a bald eagle, my dad will often tell me about how he very rarely saw them as a kid and teen, because their population was so low. Now I see quite a few each summer, when he was lucky to see one a year. I spoke to my students today about how lucky they are to be able to stream music as I downloaded 5 MB songs with a 56K modem on Napster. I also boasted that a 30-minute download for one song was considered an extremely fortunate run, and that there was a decent chance your download might not even be the song you wanted. I saw the moment in my students' eyes when I became their equivalent of Grandpa Simpson. I'm 34 years old. More people died in car accidents before improved safety features, airbags, and stricter traffic laws. From 1979 to 2005, the number of car accident deaths per capita decreased by 35%. American violent crime started rising in the 1970s and kept rising until it peaked in 1991. Then it started to decline. 2015 was the lowest violent crime has been since 1972. In the 90s, there was a good chance that your stereo would literally destroy the cassette tapes you put in it. They were never cheap cassette tapes either, they were the ones you just bought. Imagine if every time you played an MP3 from your phone there was a 1/15 chance the MP3 would disintegrate. Stray animals. Even up until the late 90s I remember seeing stray dogs running around a city neighborhood and not thinking twice about it. Now I rarely see strays. AIDS in the 80s and early 90s. I was a little kid during the era, being born in 85, and some of my earliest memories are of people talking about it and how they didn't care what the TV said. Nobody I knew would have touched anything a person with AIDS had also touched. The paranoia was terrifying. I remember meeting one of my mother's friends who had the disease and he seemed normal. I hugged him and everybody made a big deal about how brave it was for me to do that. Such a dark time. The Rwandan massacre, where during that period, about 12% of the total population of Rwanda was murdered, and the world, on the whole, never even realized what was going on in that country. The real visceral fear of nuclear war, before the Cold War ended. I had such bad anxiety about that as a teenager, that it would cause me to throw up. I did a posting on this a long time ago, but up until the mid-1980s child abuse/child molestation was simply not talked about at all. Seldom were people prosecuted, no one talked about it, it was socially unacceptable to bring things like that up, and no one wanted to hear about it. So at least in the first half of your time period it's that child abuse, and the like was still out of control and nothing was done about it. On a lighter note, cartoons in the 80s were only made to sell action figures and were not that good in hindsight. Harvest gold and avocado green kitchens. Pollution. The smog was right ***T everywhere in the summer. The cars smelled like raw fuel. The rivers were dirty. We left ***king dirty, like peel the paint off your house dirty. Poison everywhere. ***G like DDT. They would spray it everywhere. I didn't see a large bird of prey until I was 20 years old. Now I see eagles and hawks every day. We take it for granted now, but phone service outside of the local area used to be a big deal cost-wise. Wearing patchouli oil as a perfume cologne, 1960/70s. Oil slicks in almost every parking space. Cars used to drip oil from their oil pans. My parents like to go on and on about how violent things are nowadays, and how men would fight honorably and shake hands afterwards instead of shooting or stabbing each other. But the data shows violent crime peaked here in like 1978, the exact time period they remember for being so wholesome, so I don't know what the ***K they are talking about. In Poland, gangs were rampant as soon as communism had fallen. Every bigger city had a couple of gangs fighting for influence and profits, mainly from extortion, prostitution, break-ins and kidnapping. Now nobody seems to even remember this. The whole satanic panic. People had their lives ruined in these modern witch hunts. Lead-in petrol. It's all gone now, and nobody talks about it. My local 7-Eleven still has pumps marked unleaded. But I mean all petrol is unleaded. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.